You were born free, and it's time to remember who you were meant to be. You were born to rule, and it's time for you to shine all the light inside of you. Freedom. We are free. Alrighty, ladies. Ladies, I am so excited. We are launching our very first Emotional Edge course of 2020, and I'm so excited to be kicking it off today on the 22nd. That's a lot of twos, 22, 20, 20, 20, 20. Got a lot of twos. I think that's like Ascended Masters or something like that. There's some, I don't know, there's something magical that's going to be happening here. I can feel something that shifted in the air. Let me turn off my Outlook. I also want to let you all know that it's amazing if you can turn your video on. I promise you in time, it'll become, this Wednesday night might become one of the best hour, 90 minutes of your week. You'll start recognizing each other on video. Some of you have been here already before and you're seeing some friends that you've met in the past. To see Gabrielle, Deborah, Johnson. I mean, Katie now, she's married. Okay, ladies, no screen sharing. Lynn, no screen sharing. Make sure nobody screen shares. We just learned the very first thing. Nobody can press screen share. Let me see if I can stop participants sharing. Okay, so that's the first lesson. Okay, we're gonna give you the first lesson. First lesson in Zoom is you can see along the bottom that there is on the bottom of your thing, and I wasn't going to kick it off this way. Hi, my name's Crystal. I'm going to introduce myself in a second. Along the bottom, you're going to see on your Zoom screen, you're going to see a mute button. So I try to get on about 15 minutes before our live call starts, and I manage the participants by allowing you to unmute yourself, but I mute everyone. Just keep in mind that sometimes you don't realize you might not have unmuted, you might have unmuted yourself and you're like talking to your family or screaming at the dog, or no, screaming at your family, talking to your dog, and everyone hears you. So just do a little mute on your line. The more and more courage you have to step into your woman energy, the more and more courage you're going to have to do things like, for some of you, turning that video on is really takes a lot of courage just to put the video on. So I want to say thank you to those of you who are here live, to those of you who have your video on, way to go, because it's important that you let yourself be seen. You're not going to believe this. I just realized, can you believe my very first call? I just realized I have a full battery on my computer, but I don't have it plugged in. Can you imagine? I didn't plug in my computer. That's the stuff we do on our very first call. So I'm going to keep my eye on that. And if it starts to look like I'm going to run, could you imagine I run out of juice on my very first call? That would be trouble. That would be daughter energy. Daughter energy forgets to charge her computer. Daughter energy, mother energy has that thing charged at all times and it's plugged in and it's never going to go down. Her cell phone sits beside her night table. She always has it on. She would never even think of turning that cell phone off at night because someone might need her in the middle of the night and she needs to be available for everyone at all times. Even Facebook Messenger, strangers can message you in the middle of the night. Ding, you'll have to check. Actually, I don't know if that's mother energy. That's probably daughter energy. Who knows? But the point is, I need to get my computer cord and I need to do it pretty quick. Let me just message my husband because my husband works for me too. Aaron. Yeah, look, I just yell out. Watch out, I just yell out. Aaron. Aaron. This is daughter energy. Aaron, can you give me my computer cord? I realized I'm not plugged in. All right, I'm going to teach you a lot about woman energy, mother energy, and daughter energy over these coming 12 weeks. You're going to have a lot of fun. Hopefully, you'll laugh a lot. There will be times that you might feel like, is she talking right to me? Like there will be moments that you actually think, I somehow have gotten inside your home. I know exactly what's going on in your relationship right now, and I'm talking right to you. The truth is, I'm just talking to all of us because we all experience these things. Some of us hide them. Some of us are mortified by parts of our lives. Some of us are, thank you, honey. Some of us are okay with not being perfect, but that takes some healing too, to heal the perfectionist. And that's part of mother energy. Mother energy does need things to be perfect. I do try to put makeup on and do my hair on my Wednesday night calls because it's my job. But I do want to let you know, you don't have to. You don't have to be perfect when you come on. You don't have to feel pressure. You can be relaxed. If you want to have a cup of tea, look at the new cute mug my husband bought me for Christmas. Coach, isn't that cute? I know, so cute. Okay, so I do think I've already picked up that someone has unmuted their line. Yeah, I'm gonna mute them. So for the first, this is not gonna happen every week, I promise you. Normally we'll dive in and get right into it, but a little bit of housekeeping matters just right out of the gate so that everyone understands Zoom if you've never used it before. So let's go back to this. Along the bottom, you have your mute button, you have your stop video. You can always stop the video. I noticed that Casey, for example, she's put something, and I'm not pointing anything out, okay? So you're gonna learn me. I just say everything, I think. Usually I try to put a lovely filter on it, but for example, Casey has something over top. It looks like a finger over her screen right now. But if you just wanted to stop it, you just do this. Stop video and nobody sees you. Start video, everybody sees you. So you can always choose if you just don't feel like it. Or for example, when we're doing a meditation, if you feel like, geez, I just want to, there's Casey. See Casey? Boom. Now I can still see Casey. And I say your name and I know it's Casey. So at any point, like I said, if you do really need to get in touch with me, I try to keep my eyes on everything while I'm teaching. I do have some notes, but I'm not someone that reads from notes. Every time I teach this, it's new, it's fresh, it's relevant. It's also like a living, breathing program because of you, because of all of you and what you bring to it. So you're going to bring your energy. You're going to bring your questions. You're going to bring your opportunities, your excitement, your challenges. You're going to bring all of that to the group. And so every week that we do a call, we also have the Facebook forum. So if you haven't joined the forum yet, there's probably 50 women who have joined it at this point. I'm not sure how many we have in the course right now, but I think we're over 100 at this point. So if you haven't actually joined the Facebook forum, that's your private place. People in your outside world will never see what you post in there. They'll see that you're part of this group, but they won't see anything that you post, so it's private. You're gonna maybe see some of the, participants are sisters, we call them, like S-I-S-T-A-R-S. We're sisters, because we're all stars, because we're actually made of the same thing as stardust, but we're gonna get into that later in the course, because you're going to realize you're energy, you're an energy being, and woman energy is a very, very high resonating energy. So your sisters, yes, your fellow sisters, you're going to see that some of them have been doing this for a long time. For example, I see Deborah there up in the corner. She usually gets on early. She usually has her computer. She has her something else, like different angles. We never know which one. At the very last class of week 12, I unmuted all the lines for everyone to sing, and I didn't realize that Deborah had different sounds and it was like echoing, and I was like, oh, Deborah, it's not your fault, Deborah, but Deborah doesn't take any chances of missing a word. She's only missed one class in so many years. I mean, literally one episode of one course once in many, many years. So you will sometimes notice that Deborah is the most eloquent writer. She gets on the forum. She's so generous in her sharing, in her caring, in her insights. But don't compare yourself to some of our senior students, some of our women who have so much courage in their writing. And so don't compare yourself. You don't have to be a great writer. You don't have to do spell check. You don't have to do Grammarly, although I always say, why not be in woman energy and download www.grammarly, literally Grammarly, not that I'm stressing you out to be good at grammar, Grammarly.com. You can then actually hook it up so that when you're on Facebook or anything you're writing, at all times, you're always getting a little notice that says, oh, that's not proper. You're not spelling that properly, and then you never have to be stressed out about your written word again, because that's mother energy. Mother energy is afraid to post things. She's afraid to, and she's also afraid, like, who wants to read my stuff? Why should I post about my life? Other people have it way worse than I do. I should never share any of my problems. Daughter energy, I'm going to say, bring your daughter energy to the forum. Let your daughter energy show up in that message form and share what you need to share and write what you need to write. And the other thing is, you don't have to feel like you have to like anyone else's post. You don't have to feel like you have to get in there every day and read everyone's posts and respond and encourage. That's mother energy too. I also want to say, you never, ever, 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 you listen, if some of you end up becoming great friends and you end up, you know, befriending someone that's in the group outside of the group, yeah, I'm just seeing, we're going to get Anne, I'm going to say, Anne, we got to get you to sit down, sister. You're going to get dizzy, my girlfriend. Look at you walking all over the place. We should turn your video. See, that's just a little tip. Turn your video off when you're walking around because it gets a little distracting. These are all the little things we learn. So look at me. I just call everybody just the way I am right from the get-go. I'm going to teach you guys all these great things about like how we're going to show up in our woman energy. So, and I'm just so happy you're here. Believe me, I'm so happy you're here. So the other thing I was going to say is that you don't need to friend each other unless you just really hit it off with someone and you think, geez, I'd love to become friends with her. But I don't want you, here am I to say, well, I don't want you, because that's my mother energy telling you the rules. But, you know, don't private message people. Are you okay? I read your post in the forum and I'm really worried that you're having a rough day and I need to come to the rescue. You don't. You don't need to rescue anybody. You don't need to private message anybody. You don't have to respond to posts. You just show up for you. If you feel compelled and you read something and you're like, wow, that spoke to me, or that opened my insights, or opened my eyes on something and I have some new insights and you want to share, go for it. It's a really, really safe place. In fact, those who have been doing this a number of times, you may discover it becomes the most sacred journey you've ever been on with a group of women. Maybe even the most sacred journey you've ever been on, because you're with this group of women. Because most of us have never really been truly given really safe groups to be ourselves with other women. I also, it's not that I don't help men. I have men clients, male clients. I do have men that I work with and coach and support. But I don't let men, one time, do any of you remember when Harold was in our group? Do you remember, any of you remember Harold? Harold from, I don't know where he lived. Where did he live? Switzerland? Denmark? I don't know. But he had bought my book, The Emotional Edge, and he wrote me this very compelling email about how he wanted to get the emotional edge too, and would I please let him into our group, and he would be so respectful, and he was. He was doing the work just like all of us were doing the work, and it was wonderful. But I did still notice there wasn't the full sense of safety for all the rest of the women. He got a lot out of it, and I know the women got a lot of it, and they probably were like, wow, there are really good men in the world, and there are really good men in the world. But I still feel that when I keep it to only women, there is a deeper level of healing. Also, let's bear in mind, there are some women that join our courses from countries around the world where they can't go to school with the opposite sex. They have to be in, just amongst other women to learn. So it's pretty incredible that we have created a safe place for women from all over the world. And at this point, I think we've counted it up and we're in 45 countries now. Not just women that come from 45 different cultures, but women who are taking this course sitting in a different country than us. I also want to let you know that we at the SWAT Institute offer something called Mentorship Coaching. And it is exactly what it sounds. It is you being coached at no charge by someone who has been studying anywhere between 4 months to a year minimum. Some of these women have been studying, they're becoming a master empowerment coach. They've been studying 3 to 4 years. And as they get ready to graduate, they have to do 30 practice coaching calls. Believe me, they have spent hours upon hours upon hours understanding the empowerment process, and it is a process. So for a lot of people that just say, well, I'm an empowerment coach, it's a real true formula, excuse me, to what empowerment coaching is. Empowerment coaching is different than life coaching. It's not business coaching, although you can apply the empowerment process and these formulas to business, to parenting, to relationships, even to your sex life. It can apply to almost every area, because you start realizing, wow, where I'm at energetically, emotionally, how I feel about myself, the way I'm talking to myself about myself, the way I'm viewing the world, the lenses that I'm looking at the world from are going to change your perception about everything. So as you shift to a higher level, Wayne Dyer, and he truly was a friend of mine. I was going to say a dear friend of mine. I would say dear friend of mine. Boy, if I had run into, anytime I would run into him, we would have a big hug and we'd have dinner, and a great man. And one of the things that he used to say was, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And it's really true. When you change, everything changes. And so this is why this work is predominantly, about you. This gets to be all about you. And it's so incredible, especially for you women that are like really, really, your dominant emotional age is mother energy. You're always showing up for other people. You're always there for other people. You're the wind beneath other people's wings. You know what other people feel half the time before they even feel what they feel. You're just 10 steps ahead. It's strange for you at the beginning to realize this is all about you and for you. You. And every one of the processes are for you. Will it change the way you show up in your life? Yes. Will it change the way people start treating you? Yes. I'm also going to tell you, and I know I shouldn't, because why would I tell you? There could be some bumps along the road. Sometimes when you start shifting into a higher level of consciousness, into higher, I don't even want to use the word self-esteem, because I would have always thought I had high self-esteem. I would have thought I had high self-esteem even when I was in so much mother energy. But when I really started being able to observe myself, and when you can really start to observe yourself as a witness rather than a reactor, it's unbelievable how you start to say, oh man, I didn't even see how I was showing up, which of course that sets something in motion that I'm going to get feedback. You know, what's the Newton's second, third law of motion? For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. Equal and opposite. If I push, I'm going to get pushback. If I force, I'm going to be forced back. If I love, I'm going to be loved back. And so a big part of this is us actually saying, do I actually like really not, I know the self-love thing, even that, like a lot of women say, yeah, no, I love myself. Do you really like yourself? Do you really, really like yourself? And do you think, yeah, I'm really likable. I'm really lovable. And if they got really, really close, they'd actually discover I'm even more lovable than they know. Is that a story that you carry inside? Or do some of us have the story that is, you know, if they got really close and they really saw me day in and day out and they knew the truth of who I was, they might not think I was so wonderful. And that's going to block you from the flow. That's just going to stop you from just attracting. And I love all the laws, but I'm not a teacher of the laws. I'm not a teacher of the laws of attraction. I'm not a teacher of, although I do believe that you will draw into your life what you believe you're worthy of. You do draw into your life what you believe you can achieve, what you can accomplish. We very rarely will set ourselves up. And that's what, you know, when we do say, oh, I want this so badly, but I can't make it happen. Yeah, you want it so badly, but do you actually believe you can have it? Like, you want it, but do you believe that you can achieve this? You know, sometimes when someone says just something as simple as like the God forsaken, I want to lose weight. And I say it like that because ladies, by the end of this course, you'll be like, I am never talking about my weight again. Oh my God, I have bigger fish to fry. I got things to do. I got experiences to have. I've got so much joy to have and live and feel. And I cannot keep telling myself this same repetitive story over and over and over, that if I could just lose 20 pounds, I'd be happy. If I could just lose 20 pounds, my life would be better. If I could just, here's what I would say. Wanting to lose 20 pounds would never be enough. You'd actually have to believe in your being that losing 20 pounds will be really, really beneficial for your life. You would actually have to believe that if I lose 20 pounds, everything in my life is going to be better. My marriage, if you're married, is going to be better. He's not going to get jealous. He's going to just think it's fabulous that I've lost 20 pounds. The women at work, they're not going to be jealous at all. They're going to think it's fabulous that I lost 20 pounds. Oh, they're all just going to love that I lost 20 pounds and I'm looking really great and I'm really confident. All those women at work, you have to believe that. See, if you have a story, which I've had at times, which is, you know, the women, I just think they like me when I'm a little bit chubbier. It's just a little story I tell myself. I don't know, if I was really fit, I just might be a little too much. So even though I might say I'd love to lose 20 pounds, I might actually have some story somewhere back there saying, is that really smart for you? Would that really be smart? Is that a really smart thing for your future? If you think to yourself, let's say you're in a relationship, geez, if I lost 20 pounds, I might really feel good about myself. And I don't know if I can trust myself. I don't know if I can trust myself. So you know what? I'm not going to. I'm just not going to lose weight. But then you still talk about it. I got to lose this weight. I really need to lose the weight. Well, you might lose the weight and decide that you are like feeling really frisky, and you got to work that story out too. You know, you see, like it's around everything. Working these stories out help you to start to see like, oh, so Mother Energy has a story that says, if I do enough, I'll be enough. If I can just do enough, I think I'll be enough. At some point, someone's going to say, Mom, thank you so much for doing my laundry for the last 17 years. Thank you so much for putting these meals on the table every night. Mom, I'm so grateful to you. Like, that's what Mother Energy is waiting for. At some point, she really thinks someone is going to, at some point, come along and say, I would really love to give you a raise. But it never happens. Daughter Energy is like, I've been working here for 3 months. I need a raise. Actually, Daughter Energy starts off like, I'm going to change the company. Oh my God, I love this. I'm going to make so much money. And then you start off like waking up really early and you work on it till really late for the first week. You're so excited about things. And then by the second week, and then about 3 months later, you're like, coming in late for work. You know, I had another idea. I got another idea. I have this new idea. I think I could make money doing this thing over there. That's Daughter Energy. Woman Energy gets really clear. What lights me up? What do I love to do? What comes so easily and naturally to me that I can do it without really even trying that hard? Even if it sometimes scares me. Like, for example, if you wanted to lead your own courses or your own podcast or write your own books or be your own online presence or have your own bricks and mortar business, or you have to get really clear on, you know, that you have to get really clear on, okay, number one, I have to believe I have something to say. You actually have to believe you got something to say and it's worth listening to. It's a little Daughter Energy. You have to have a little Daughter Energy, because Daughter Energy is like me, I'm good. I know what I'm doing. Listen to me, watch me. So you actually do have to have a little bit of that, you know, I know that I have something to say, and even if it scares you to say it, that's okay. We're not dealing with fear yet. We're just now starting to think, I do have something to say, and the truth is you do have something to say. You do have something to say. And the world does need to hear, maybe when I use words like the world, we're going to heal the world. Believe me, my own family members sometimes go, you know, Crystal's going to heal the world. have a little chuckle at that because I still get that too. Did you know Crystal's going to heal the world? And then I have to be like, okay, I don't mean I'm healing the world. I mean, I'm part of the consciousness of women who are empowering themselves and each other, maybe one woman at a time. But you actually have to believe that you're part of that movement and that your needs matter, your dreams matter, your heart matters, your stories matter. And I'll also tell you this. I think a lot of us start off thinking, for me, and again, I haven't even introduced myself. Some of you don't even know who the heck I am. My name's Andrus. So my very first book, so let me just tell you, my very first book, I was so crazy. Look, I kind of have hair like I had 20 years ago. Look at that. Look at that little full color book that Crystal didn't know what she was doing. She self-published, didn't have a clue, single mother, had no money. What the hell was she thinking? She was in daughter energy with a lot of woman energy, but like really must have been in daughter energy because she spent $158,000 that she didn't have printing 5,000 full color books. And then she did DVDs and CDs, but ignorance is bliss. I didn't even know. And you know what? In fact, I didn't even know. I didn't even put a barcode on the back. Can you imagine? So I had to think to myself in this, how am I going to sell these books? But I got myself on the shopping channel. I pitched myself. I went into the shopping channel and I showed up in my woman energy and I walked in there like I was Canada's top fitness professional. And I was going to help all the women in the world love the skin they're in. And I got my first purchase order for 1,000 units at $99 each. Got my first purchase order for $99,000. I got in the shopping channel. I sent a copy of the book and my spot on the shopping channel to Hay House Publishing down in California. I live in a little winky dinky town of, honest to goodness, no more than maybe 400 or 500 people in Canada. I didn't know anybody famous. I didn't know anybody. I just sent it down there. And would you know, on my birthday, I got a phone call from the president of Hay House Publishing saying, Crystal, Reed Tracy, you're going to get to know me and my accents. Don't ever take it personally. It's just my sense of humor. I do them all the time. Crystal, because he comes from Southern California. And he said, we'd like to fly you down here because Louise Hay saw your stuff and she wants to give you a book deal. And I got on a plane and got myself down to California and we converted that first book into this book, which also had a CD in the back, a little workout DVD. And I got $150,000 advance. And my 5,000 books that I didn't know what the hell I was going to do and how I was going to sell the books and how I was going to make money, it all just got paid off. So you could have said you were in daughter energy, or I was so fierce. I believed I was going to do it. I did it. I was driven, a little crazy, but I also had nothing to lose. I was a single mother living in a rental. What was I going to lose? I wasn't going to lose my house. I had no house. They weren't going to come take my car from me. And I didn't have a back door. I just thought, this is my dream and this is what I'm going to do. I got a 3-book deal with Hay House. The next book I did was called Transcendent Beauty. I know. What was I thinking on this cover? I wasn't. I don't know. I thought it was really transcendent. But let me tell you, book covers and book names are really important. This book for the first year was in the top 10. Look at dynamic. What the hell was I thinking? Anyways, I'll teach you a lot about book covers and titles too. I called that book Transcendent Beauty. I'll never forget poor Deborah Johnson, as I'm going to say this right now. The first time she said the book, she went, I loved your book. I bought your book, Transcendental. I'm kidding, Deborah. You know I like to be a little bit of a comedian. And I was like, stupidest book name ever. Why did I call it Transcendent Beauty? No one even knows how to say that damn word. Why didn't I just call it like Simply Beautiful? Simply Woman. You better knew by the time the 3rd book came, I got back a head screwed on straight, put my damn picture on it and called it Simply Empowered. And we were back off to the races. After that book came along, I took a little hiatus. I built the SWAT Institute. Well, it wasn't really a hiatus. I built the SWAT Institute. That was in 2009. I reached out to Louise Hay. I reached out to Dr. Christiane Northrup, who some of you saw. I did an interview with her yesterday. Some of you are from her world, so welcome. And thank you for joining us. I reached out to Dr. Northrup and said, I want to build a coaching program for women that will just teach them everything they need to know from every aspect of their lives. And I would love to share you and your work. Are you in? And she said, yes. And then I asked Louise, hey, I want to share you and your work. Are you in? And she said, yes. And then I was like, I'm going to ask Marianne Williamson. Marianne Williamson, she just ran for president 2020. She just opted out. I said, Marianne, I want to share you and your work in my school. Are you in? And she said, yeah. And I was like, shut the front door. I'm off to the races. And I focused and built my school. And then in 2015, so for 5 years, I just buckled down, raised my girls, who, my eldest daughter, she's turning 25. That just shocks me. 25 in February. She's my executive assistant. People ask me, I actually got my hair done yesterday, and my hairdresser said, how do you guys get along? Like, her being your executive assistant, what if you have to? I said, I don't think we've ever, I'm not saying this to sound like an asshole. I sometimes swear too, just to give you the heads up. I said, I'm not trying to sound like an asshole, but do you know, we've never had an argument. Like, I know when she was 15 or something, we probably argued over something, but she's been my executive assistant for, I think, maybe 2 years now. And she just gets me, I get her, we're in woman energy. There's no need for confrontation when you have really effective communication. There's just no need for arguing or fighting, or you just communicate, and you learn how to communicate in a way where you're being heard. Because women often think we're really good talkers, and we are good talkers, but we're not necessarily good communicators. So if you don't feel like you're being heard, you're being listened to, you're being respected, if you're not evoking change, then you might be in mother energy or daughter energy in those relationships. I know you probably have some relationships that you feel like, wow, I love the way I show up. I love the way I'm treated. Why can't I have that across the board? Well, you can. And you're also going to learn how to, and I don't want to say learn, because some of you are like, I already know this, and I'm actually just here to observe. So for you that already know this and you're just here to observe, it's a reminder. It's a reminder.
In my bone, in your bone, in my bone.
That's what happens. Here's Heather, your baby. Oh, we all got to hear Heather. I think she might be nursing her baby right now. Isn't that sweet? And so along came this book, the book that we're going to be doing together. Now, I do want to let you know, I don't read from the book. I don't go in order of the chapters. You're not going to read a chapter and then have a week and read a chapter and have a week. Read the book. You can get it on audio but I'm teaching in the way that I know that of the practice I've had with hundreds, thousands of women. The best way that I've found for you to receive it in the sound bites and the chunks that click, and then it gives you a full week to process and take it in and start to see how, wow, this is working. Holy, things are changing. I'm starting to notice that there's something clicking here. You also need time, just like, I don't know if any of you watch any series like Survivor. I always laugh and say Survivor always takes a week off. So there might be a week over these next 12 weeks. I might take a week off. It doesn't mean we miss a week. It just means it pushed out a week. It doesn't happen that often, but sometimes there's a Wednesday night that something might happen over the next 12 weeks that I might not be able to be here. I don't even know why I just said that, because it's very rare, but I just want to let you know. So stay in your woman energy. We're not doing brain surgery. No one's going to die if we miss a week. You're also going to learn that in your own business. When sometimes you're so busy in your business and you think, I have all these emails. No one's going to, unless you're a brain surgeon, they're not going to die if you don't get back to them in a couple of days. Not the end of the world. So this is also for you coaches to just realize and recognize boundary setting. So that book came along, and then I decided, it's time for me. Louise Hay had passed. She was my mentor, truly my mentor. And I thought, I want to open my own publishing house. I want to tell the stories of other women's, memoirs, ambitions, anything that would advance consciousness. So my very first book I did was a book called Simply Women's Stories from 30 Magnificent Women Who Have Risen Against the Odds. And I put out, what would I call it? I just sent out to my world and said, if you have a compelling story, if you've risen from the odds, if risen against the odds, if you have a story to tell, if you have a lesson that you feel you've learned, share it with me. And our first book, I chose 30 women, and these were powerful women. One woman, Nior, from Liberia, Africa. She has adopted 44 child soldiers who were orphaned from the Liberian War. We have Hamda, who's in this book, who she is now, it's so exciting. She is now back in America, but she was an American girl. She is an American woman who was a girl that was married to a man living in Palestine in West Bank. And when she got married and she was there and she had 5 children, she couldn't get out. And she tells the story of trying to get out through cross Jordan and everything she went through to, like, these are really, really compelling stories. I will tell you that last year I took a break on this compilation, but this year I'm ready, I'm back, and we're going to be doing it again. So if anyone of you think, oh my goodness, I want to be a part of this, we're going to do one a year. Some of you on the call right now were in that first book. I see Carrie Ann. Carrie Ann, can you give a little wave? Do a little wave, Carrie Ann. There's Carrie Ann. Carrie Ann tells her story of growing up in a rural community in Canada. I hope it's, Carrie Ann, it's okay for me to share it because it's in the book, right? And she went out on her very first date as a, 18-year-old girl. She went on her first date, really trusting, thought this was a boy that she could trust. And he ended up bringing his uncle along, and she was raped. And found out she was pregnant in a very religious family where abortion would be no, and didn't have a lot of options and was really tormented. But what a healing, Carrie Ann, if you have a chance at some point over these 12 weeks to talk about it, because I really remember, and you've done a few of these, I still call them telecourses. They're not telecourses. We're not on the telephone anymore. We got a video now. You telling the story of your mother taking you for that abortion, and no one ever talked about it again, and how that was just, it almost destroyed you until you came to a certain age that you realized that would have been the hardest thing my mother ever did. That probably was the hardest thing for her to go against her own religious upbringing, to take me as a 17, Carrie Ann? 17-year-old girl to an abortion clinic. And that probably was a really, 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 really hard thing, that it didn't have to force us apart. If I could have looked at my mom through the lenses of what that must have been for her, there can be healing in this. So I do want to say this isn't a political course. This isn't a red or blue. This is a everybody in the rainbow is welcome here. I really don't like to get into political stuff because we also have to remember that we are from 45 different countries. So we're not all just American, and we're not all going to talk about that stuff either. And I know some of you are like, I know, but I'm really political in my personal page. You can be and you should be. Be whatever you want to be. But in our forum, we really try to keep it to our healing, our processes, what we're doing here together. Now, ladies, I do want to tell you, let me grab my notes. I also want to show you, just before I'm going to do a share screen, I want to share something with you, because some of you may not have the Emotional Edge book. So are you seeing, can you see this empowerment spectrum? Some of you, can you? I can't see everyone right now. Can you guys see that? Yes, okay. So I want to show you, for those of you who have never seen the empowerment spectrum that I created, it is based off of 3 emotional age archetypes. Some of you have kind of already heard me talk a little bit about them. And when I did the book with Random House, and God bless them, I'm so grateful that I did leave. I love Hay House, but I'm grateful that I went to a very big mainstream publishing house, because They really were, it was huge being part of something that they were like, no, you can't just keep talking about energy and consciousness and energy. But I'd be like, but it is all energy. We all energy. But it wouldn't go mainstream enough. So they really helped me to change my communication style so that I could also speak to Dr. Christiane Northrup on a Facebook Live and talk about psychology and endocrinology and stuff that women also need to learn and know that it's, yes, we're energy, but there's a lot of physical stuff and a lot of physical choices and words we speak and thoughts we think and shit we do that we can't just go, oh, it's all just energy and we'll just sit in the lotus position and hum and we'll meditate and we'll get to high levels of consciousness. It's also the way that we're communicating, negotiating, compromising. And I call that sort of like this communication scale that runs right up through the middle. So if you can see on this scale, you'll see the bottom is passive and the top is peaceful. And this is I think it's really big for a lot of women to realize they are as opposite as anything can be. They are as opposite as black and white. Passive is, it is what it is. What am I going to do about it? Like, what am I going to do about it? It is what it is. And this is where we find the lower, heavier, I don't even want to use those terms yet, but those archetypes, when I use the word archetype, like the child archetype or the parent archetype or the adult archetype, the word archetype just literally means it's a quick call to mind. So if I were to say the bad boy, that's an archetype. Tarot cards are archetypes. They represent, so it's almost like or goddess cards. Any of those different decks of cards, they're all teaching in archetypes. They're all saying, you know, when you show up like this archetype, there's a whole call to action, qualities. We dream. We don't dream in words or numbers. We dream in stories. We dream in archetypes. So the child archetype, and when we get into the book and we get further along in the coming weeks, you're going to start to see that it's a little bit tongue-in-cheek and a little bit fun. But under the child or daughter energy, you'll find I've created at this point, I just put 11 in. The truth is I probably could have done 100 different archetypes for the child and 100 different archetypes under the mother or the parent, but I chose 11. So for example, some of those sub-emotional archetypes under the child or daughter energy would be, for example, the lone wolf. We all know, we've all been a lone wolf at times, where you pull away and you don't let anybody in, or the addict, whether you're drinking too much or eating too much or shopping too much, where you just don't want to feel. That's daughter energy. I just don't want to feel. So anything that just stops the pain, but then there's so much shame in that archetype. We're gonna explore them. And sometimes you'll read one of the archetypes, so you might hear me or one of the other ladies talking about it, and you might feel like, that's me. Oh my God. Or that's my mom, that's my sister, that's my brother, that's my father. You start to recognize everyone around you. But they're really designed to help you have more of where you start to realize it's not you. That's not the real you. Tonight, we're going to do a meditation to help remember who you really are, to help remind you of who you are when you're in woman energy. But those little sub-archetypes, so for example, the drama queen, daughter energy, the rebellious teenager, daughter energy, the warrior, daughter energy, the narcissist, daughter energy, the victim, daughter energy, the scared little child, daughter energy. Again, I don't want to throw too much tonight. I just want to give you a kind of just a splash at what's coming. And you'll see that it's very passive. A scared child. Some of you might go, what archetype is that? I didn't even know for the longest time I even had a scared little girl inside of me. I would have thought I coach women who are scared. I don't have a scared little girl, until I really did this work on a deep, deep level. And I realized that I'd spent so much of my life not wanting anyone to know I was afraid, or weak, or needed someone, because there was no one coming to save me. So I just put my daughter down in the basement, metaphorically speaking, and shut the door and locked her in and didn't even know she existed until one day, and I'm sure you've had this happen, you're out and about or you're in an argument with someone and you literally feel like Dr. Jekyll bashed your way out of the basement. My internet is unstable all of a sudden. Well, there's this version of you that just bashes her way out of the basement and flips out or goes out partying or just does something that's so out of character that you're like, oh, what just happened? Who am I? And you grab a hold of that part of you and you stuff her back down in the basement and lock the door and get a couple pit bulls and a security system to keep your party girl or your drama girl or your warrior or your scared little girl or your addict stuffed away somewhere. Now, on the other hand, some of those archetypes you can see still down at the bottom, some of them are more aggressive. The warrior is a more aggressive version of that child archetype. But these are all still, when you see these lower levels, these darker grays, these are still a heavier, slower, energetically, emotionally heavier way to show up in the world. Of course, we're going to be more tired. Let's look at the parent archetype or mother energy. Of course, that's where we find our chubby bubby. Of course, that's where we find our martyr and our rescuer. Of course, we have our little busy bee over there. She's busy, 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 busy. She's always cleaning something, doing something, doing something. I don't know, she's always taking another course. She's always signing up for something. I always say this to all my women who laugh at themselves because they're taking a course. Oh yeah, she's doing another course. She's gonna get even more educated. No, I'm only kidding. You're in woman energy right now. So you'll get to know those archetypes, the perfectionist, the ruler. The ruler is, and they almost you'll start to see as you get the book, and even if you don't get the book, we're gonna go through them together, but you'll start to see, oh, the wallflower over here is part of my mother energy, but she's very passive. And if I were to swing right across at that same frequency, I'd see that there's the wallflower is my mother energy, and the scared little girl is the same frequency, but over on the other side, my daughter energy. And what we're going to do together is not only heal the split between these two seemingly opposing parts of ourselves, but we're not only going to just heal the split, we're going to almost roll, almost like you have a roll at the top and you're just slowly rolling that anchor up. And you'll start to lift higher and higher back into the wholeness and the fullness of who you really are. Loving and joyous and peaceful, a woman. All the time, no matter where you are, no matter who you're with. And the lowest you'll ever get, because the truth is you were born up here. You were born. You were born. And you know, Dr. Northrup said yesterday, as long as you're over the age of 12, we all have this innate wisdom about how to be a woman. We have this innate wisdom on how to really be a woman in the world. But when we were born, I'm gonna stop share for a moment. When we were born, and some of you have heard me tell the story, I heard it for the first time from Louise Hay many years ago, maybe 15 years ago. And Louise told a story that it was a true story, 1957, in Thailand. And there were a group of Buddhist monks, and they were moving this huge statue of a clay Buddha. And in the midst of moving it, was 5 tons. I'm talking a huge statue. And in the midst of moving it, one of the straps that were under the huge statue broke, and the clay statue hit the floor and cracked. And of course, everyone was horrified. Oh my God, we just cracked this 500,000-year-old statue, until one of them saw something glistening. And they ran and did something that would take a lot of courage. They got a chisel and they began to chip away at the clay. And underneath, they discovered there was a solid golden Buddha. This is a true story. Solid golden Buddha. That golden Buddha, is now deemed the most valuable statue in the world. Can you imagine for hundreds of years it sat in a deserted temple? In a deserted temple, forgotten about. And the story goes that hundreds of years earlier, the Burmese army was coming into Thailand at the time. And the monks were so brilliant that they devised this plan: cover the gold with clay and it won't be deemed valuable, and they won't take it. And it worked. The problem was the Burmese army killed every single monk. So the story could never be passed on. And the first time I heard that story, it was so aha, as Oprah would say, her aha moment. We're just like that golden statue. You were born into woman energy. You were born golden. You were born beautiful. You were born with everything you needed to be your greatest self. You were born with your potential, your dreams, your gifts, your talent. It was all there. No differently. Okay, I got another story to tell. Don't let me forget the pine cone story. And you, just like those monks, in your brilliant little mind said, and I'm not putting down anyone's family, this isn't it for anyone to be mad at anybody, but even just in patriarchy, and I don't even want to use the word patriarchy because I don't want every woman now to go, oh my God, is this going to be a whole course about patriarchy? But we, all of us, in our communities, in our cultures, no matter where in the world, because let's remember, ladies, 100 years ago in the world, not just in your country, across the world, women weren't yet considered a person under the law. Not white women, not Chinese women, not Asian women, not Indian women, not American women, not Italian women, not Norwegian women. We were not considered a person yet under the law. We couldn't vote. We couldn't own property. We were still considered chattel of our father that would be passed down to a husband. In fact, I live in a house. I know I always have these neat stories, but they're true. I swear I wouldn't tell you anything that wasn't true. My mother, nothing. I'm not going to say anything. Forget it. Chris, this is why we're live. This is what's fun about live. You never know what's going to come out, and I can't edit it. So I have to learn to start being like a little more discerning with my mouth. I live in a house that is so incredible. So as I was a single mother, as after I got my 3-book deal, I was a single mother. Yes, I raised those girls. And I finally had saved up enough money that I, one Saturday morning, went into MLS. Do you guys have MLS? Multiple listing, whatever it is, like, you know, it's like the real estate, online real estate. And I put in like all the things I would dream to have in a house. 5 bedrooms. I know, why did I need 5 bedrooms? I don't know. I just put it in. And this and that and blah, blah. Why not? Let's just see what's out there. And I put it in a price range that was just a little more than I could reach. Because I always say reach a little higher than you go a little harder for the job that you really want, that you don't think you're quite ready for it, reach for it. Always just reach a little more, expand your edges just a little. And one house popped up. And I didn't know where it was. I didn't know. And I was like, I'm buying this house, And I called the real estate agent. She said, actually, we have a showing tomorrow. It was a Sunday morning. Do you want to come half an hour after? And I said, sure. I drove in with my 2 girls. I pulled into the driveway. My girls looked like they grew 6 inches as we got out of the car. They came walking up the steps. And I walked through the house. And it was 200 years old. And it is 4,000 square feet. Yes, it needed some work, but all I saw was beauty. And my gosh. And I looked next door and said, what's that little church right there? It's a little church right beside the property. And the real estate agent said, actually, this house it's not quite deemed a historical land site, but it really is like a historical land site. Do you know there's a book about this house? And this was the first woman in Canada in the 1800s to go to the Attorney General of Canada, the first woman to say, I want my husband removed from the house. She came from a lot of money. And when her father died, it couldn't be passed to her because she was a woman. So she had to get married. And so, Sandika, I just noticed you there. Look at you, girl. You're looking gorgeous. Look at you. Okay, anyway, sorry. See, I do that sometimes live. Okay, stop. She was the first woman in Canada to go to the Attorney General. And again, what the story goes is that she was born into a lot of money, couldn't be passed to her because she was a girl. She was a woman. So she got married, and apparently the husband was abusive. And she was the first woman was able to retain chattel. So this house stayed in her family line until one family before me. Interestingly enough, she had 5 children, 4 sons and 1 daughter, and she passed the house to her daughter, and the house stayed in this line. So can you imagine, I walked in and I bought the house on the spot, and I started doing yoga next door. I basically had my own little retreat center right next door. And I'm just telling, just when you get into the flow, things come when you're clear. When you get into your woman energy, you get very clear about what you want, what you believe. Yes, you have to do your part. So let's go back to the Golden Buddha. We are just like that Golden Buddha. We were born, you were born. If you were to just, and you might say, I was never golden. You don't remember. But I guarantee you, if someone had taken a video of you at 3 years old, dancing and singing and playing, you would look back right now on that video and you would be in awe of yourself. You would think you were the most beautiful little girl, and you were. You might even look at yourself and feel a sense of sadness because you know what she's going to be going through, some of the things that are going to happen. But I promise you this, if we make this decision almost like the people around me don't get how amazing I am. That is what happened to you. You were little and you thought it might have been you might have had great parents, but it might have been your community. It might have been a teacher at school. It might have been a bully. It might have been an older brother. It might have been, who knows, but somewhere along the way we make the decision. And some of you are looking really golden right now. So I know you've chipped off the clay. But at some point, most of us make the decision, I'm not safe to fully shine. I'm not safe to be my most fabulous, beautiful, gorgeous, talented. What does Marianne Williamson say in A Return to Love? Our deepest fear is not that we're inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we're powerful beyond measure. It is your light, not your darkness, that most frightens you. Who am I to be gorgeous, talented, and fabulous? And that quote that Nelson Mandela said in one of his speeches came from Marianne Williamson. It is our light that we're most afraid of. That's why we find these forms of protection. And I call them archetypes. They're just forms of protection. They're just this way of saying, I'm not fully safe to be a woman in this world, full spectrum, full out. Full out. Maybe you were taught to tone it down. You're too loud. I have a big mouth. I've been told I have a big mouth my whole life. And for some years I was like, I really tried to not talk, but clearly I like to talk. And now I get paid to talk. Well, maybe you're meant to get paid to talk too, or paid to sing, or paid to, I sometimes think I can't believe I get paid to just share my opinions. Who knew? But you have to make the decision that you matter and that you're safe to shine. Are you safe to shine? Do you feel safe in your life to be your best self? Do you feel safe in your family, in your relationships? Don't worry about kids. They'll always come on board. Sometimes they're like, oh, my kids will be like, Mom. Don't worry, mine do that too. They're in their 20s and they still do the, Mom, take that off Facebook. Why did you put the don't write about me? So I still write about my daughters. How crazy is it that I've raised 2 amazing girls? I know me, I'm sounding like I'm all fabulous, but I'm not going to share my failures with you tonight. That's not going to motivate you if I tell you all the things that failed. But like, I did a pretty good job with these kids. My youngest is now a makeup artist to the stars. She's only 23. She's worked on a TV show out of LA produced by Kim Kardashian. She's on Lizzo's makeup team. Lizzo, the Grammys. She was just on Saturday Night Live. You want to hear what's so funny? My kid didn't even understand who Eddie Murphy was. She kept calling him Freddie Mercury. She's so little, she didn't get it. She keep going, you know, Freddie Mercury. I'd go, Julia, his name's Eddie Murphy. That Freddie Mercury, I'd just be like, ignorance is bliss. That's the truth. That's why those sayings are like, she doesn't even know. She doesn't even get how big she's there with Chris Rock, Dave Chappelle, Eddie Murphy on Lizzo's team. She's doing all of Lizzo's backup dancers at the Grammys this weekend. My kid from a little town of 400 people in Canada, flying down to LA to do the Grammys with Lizzo. So I'm telling you, this shit works. That's all I gotta say. This shit works, okay? And every single one of us, just know it this way. Every one of us have 3 dominant personas. Every one of us. Not just in me, it's not just in one of you, it's in all of us. And that's why, again, Dr. Northrup yesterday said, oh, Mike, you don't understand. This is my mentor. She's interviewing me and saying, your work is truth. It's universal. It's innate wisdom. And I'm like, I can't even believe I'm like, Dr. Northrup is saying my work is universal wisdom. But that's the truth with truth. Truth should stand the test of time. And the truth is every one of us have 3 dominant personas that we dance in between. We either show up like a daughter, and you might be like a woman in your work, but you show up like a daughter in your love life. You might be a woman when you go out with your friends, but you show up like a mother in your love life. And then you wonder, why is my husband like a bad little boy? Because you're his mom. And you're showing up like his mom. And let me tell you, when you stop showing up like his mom, I'm just saying there might be a little bit of waves, just a little bit. But don't worry, you'll ride them. You'll surf them. It'll all be fine. Nobody's leaving anybody. I always tell everybody, no one's allowed to leave their relationship over the next 12 weeks. No radical changes, okay? You're not gonna do one of these weeks' classes to be like, damn, I hate my husband after this call. I'm leaving him. You're gonna get a mentor coach free of charge because that's what we offer. So you're gonna get on with your coach and you're gonna say, I feel like leaving my husband. And your coach is gonna help you recognize that you never make those kind of decisions unless you're truly in woman energy. And when you're in woman energy, you will see things and you'll realize and if you are in a place that you're gonna have to make some hard decisions, you're gonna do it with kindness, you're gonna do it with grace, you're gonna do it with dignity and respect. And if you need to do it, you will do what needs to be done, but you will do it from such a high place that it will be done with reason. You'll be reasonable. We got to be reasonable, ladies. We got to be reasonable. So why don't we do a little meditation? First of all, does anyone have any questions or share tonight? You'll notice as we go along, I haven't even got across the screen yet, but on the bottom of the screen, if you're on a desktop, you'll see invite. You don't need to invite anyone in. Don't be doing that. You don't need to manage participants. I'll be doing that. Don't hit the green share screen or we'll all be looking at your phone or computer. You can definitely hit the little chat button if you want and chat. The one thing I would say though is don't hijack the chat there. Sometimes women, they don't even realize I don't care. I really don't, because the truth is any one of you can just turn the chat off. If you're like, I'm distracted. 3 women have known each other for 10 years and they're laughing and talking the whole time Crystal's talking, because some of the times that happens, and the truth is it's fine, because some of these women are like, I've done it 25 times. I just love my girlfriends. And they chat the whole time on the side. If you don't want to watch it, turn the chat off. I don't know if you have it can hit stop or record. Don't do that. If you can, I can, but I hope that you can't, so don't even do that. And then you'll also see over on the side, I think there's a more button. And yes, over on the side, there's more. And if you would like to chat with me, the best thing to do is hit that more button and raise your hand. Do you see that where it says raise your hand? So if you do, because sometimes there's Alicia. So I'm going to go to Alicia here in just a second. But Alicia, you got to make sure that you're sitting still because you can't be walking all around. Okay, so you got to stop somewhere wherever you're going to stop and we can talk. So you can raise your hand. So if anyone right now would like to share before we do a meditation, because we're going to end tonight's call with a meditation to help you remember who you really are. So this week, as you leave here tonight and you go off about your week and you connect with me and the other ladies on our private message forum, you just keep remembering who you are. If you've never been abandoned, if you've never been betrayed, if you've never been hurt, if you've never been let down, what if you had been raised in an environment that, here's another story. I'm laying out in my backyard. I look up and I see this pine tree. Literally, I do these things. And I look at the pine tree and I'm like, damn, there's got to be millions of pine cones on that pine tree. And I walk over and I start picking up pine cones and I look at these little pine cones and I'm just so in awe because I actually realize, do you know that that pine cone has everything it takes to turn into that tree? Is that crazy? That little pine cone has all the innate wisdom it needs to become that if given the right environment. If given the right environment. If not given the right environment, that greatness and that potential can't ever manifest because it doesn't have the right environment. And so, yes, ladies, some of us, some of you didn't have a very good environment growing up. And that sucks. The great news is you're a woman now. And you have the choice, different than a pine cone. You can begin to change your environment. You can begin to make changes that will help you, your greatness, your full potential, your woman energy blossom. And that's really what this community is about. It's an environment that's going to nurture you. The trickle-down effect for those of you who are here for the first time is mind-blowing. The love and the trickle-down. It really is different. And I personally have never been, I know it's my group, but I've never been in an environment that's given me, myself, this much safety to work my stuff out and not feel embarrassed and not be judged. And I do a lot of processing myself in that forum because you can't heal alone. It's absolutely impossible. You can't heal by yourself. Believe me, if you could, we all would, right? We would. Nobody wants to share their stuff. I mean, the victim does. Daughter energy does. Daughter energy can't help but be like, you're not going to believe what happened to me. That's one of the archetypes of daughter energy. Oh, yes, we can, because something's always happening to you. I don't know how it always happens, but something's always happening to you because you don't realize it, but your form of protection that you've chosen, your clay, is the victim. Or your form of protection is a warrior. And I will cut you down with my words. That's another form of protection. But it's not who you really are. You are the gold underneath. Your woman energy is the gold underneath, and you can't lose her. That's the great news. Whenever I hear a woman say, I feel like I lost myself, I go, no, you can't lose yourself. You may have buried her, but you can't lose her. So what we're going to do together over these 12 weeks is get out a chisel and start to chip away until you start to realize, wow, I feel lighter. Because when you're not carrying blankets and blankets of protection, you feel lighter. Now, I don't mean I want you to get your scale out and step on it every day. In fact, I would like you to get a hammer. And if you do have a scale, you bring it outside to the curb. You get a big hammer, like the bigger the better, and you bash it and hit it over and over. Destroy it if you can. Leave it at the curb. Even if garbage day is like next Monday, let it sit there for all your neighbors to see too, because that would be really good for all the women in your neighborhood to see your busted scale down at the road, because you will never stand on one of those again. That's another decision that we make. You never stand on that, because your worth can never be defined by some number on a scale. There's going to be new ways that we start to realize we're lighter, because we feel lighter inside. because we feel brighter, because we feel kinder towards ourselves, because we catch ourselves faster when we're starting to go down the rabbit hole again. When we catch ourselves with that repetitive thought, oh, I'm fat. Oh, he doesn't love me. Oh, I'm never going to make enough money. See the way I do it? I know I'm a brat, right? But that's how I do it, because that's how you have to catch yourself when you're doing the, I hate my life. Catch yourself. That is daughter energy. That's your daughter energy that's starting to, and believe me, I did it. I turned 49 a couple of weeks ago, and I really was expecting to feel amazing. And I just did I just want to sell everything and downsize and get myself a little place on the ocean in California or Florida and get a Miata convertible. And I never want enough seats to take more than one person with me ever again. But I came through it, don't worry. My daughter energy was just like raging for a little bit over Christmas. And then my woman energy was like, yeah, no, maybe I'll just get an Airbnb for a month. Try that out first before I sell everything. Anyways, you start to become your own best friend. That's what you start to become. And if you're already your best friend, well, you're going to become your BFF forever. And that's pretty exciting to look forward to. So before we get into our meditation, I see Alicia has raised her hand. Alicia, I'm going to unmute your line. Are you good to go? And Alicia, I'm going to do an unmute. How are you? Where are you, Alicia? Is your volume? I'm not hearing you. Turn your volume up.
Okay.
There you go. Talk a little louder.
Hi.
Hey, Alicia, how are you?
I am so.
Okay, Alicia, just don't move, but I can't hear you close enough. So either put the phone closer to your mouth or turn your volume up on your phone, because we want to hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Can you guys hear Alicia? Pretty quiet. Alicia, turn it up louder, girl. Woman, I never am going to call anyone girl ever again. Woman.
Amen. I'm going to cut my speaker on.
Yeah, put your speaker on for sure.
Hello?
There you go. All right.
Okay, you probably can't see me now. I have the phone up to my ear.
That's okay. Let's go with it. Let's not see you, but let's hear you.
Okay. I am grateful to be in this space. My life has turned around so like a 360. But today,
In a good way?
in a very good way. Like all of the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed.
Oh,
I am on a whole totally different path, and I'm happy, vibrating, good energy.
Alicia,
But
I want to just before I interrupt you, which I just did, so forgive me, everyone. But I want to share, and just so you know, you can always put this on gallery view, so you can see everybody, or you can put it on
okay.
speaker view. So just so you know, for everybody else too. So Alicia, if I am remembering correctly, Alicia, you came into my world, I'm going to guess, what, 7 years ago?
That long?
Was it 5 years ago?
It might have been longer because breast cancer was 3 years ago. So it may have been about 6 or 7 years.
6 or 7 years ago. And I remember when you first came in, you guys have to realize, when Alicia first came in and she shared her story, and I know that's so not where you are anymore, and it never was who you ever were, but there's a perfect example of this golden little girl who grew up in inner city Chicago, who as a teenager was abducted while she was standing. I remember this. This is how much I remember my women. Who was standing at a bus stop, am I right? And you were abducted by a pimp with a machete.
Yeah.
And you spent time being abused. And
I had abortion when I was in the 6th grade. I was 12 years old.
just what, like, ladies, do you know, sometimes you say, this was a little girl. This wasn't her choice. This was a little girl. And sometimes we grow up in an environment that is not going to make us golden. But look what Alicia's done. She's come through. Alicia grew up, went to school, got married, raised an incredible young man who is now, isn't he going for his law degree now?
Yes, and his PhD, and that's what I wanted to talk to you about. It's just like bananas.
She has raised a boy who is getting his PhD right now, who, didn't he say he's going to become a judge?
Yes.
We need him on the Supreme Court in the US of A. That's for sure, sister.
Wow.
So then you left your husband because you realized that you stayed in a relationship for a long, long time to be in mother energy, to give your son everything you never had, and you did.
Yes.
Once you finally left that marriage, you discovered you had breast cancer.
Yes.
And that was very hard. It would be hard for every woman, but I remember us doing some coaching through that time. And when you're this beautiful, sexy, full, not full figured, but busty, for her to have, did you not have a double mastectomy?
Yes.
Double mastectomy. Like, ladies, this woman is shining. Now, I wish we could see her while she was talking, because this woman is shining. So Alicia, you have now gotten through your breast cancer. You've become a vegan.
Yes.
You are so healthy. You are
Yes.
so rocking your world. You're becoming an empowerment coach with us through the SWAT Institute.
Yes.
Now, catch me up, now that I said all that.
I have met the love of my life.
I
Checked
told
off
you
all
would.
the boxes. He has a nice job. He has his own place, his own car. He loves me. He's tall, dark, handsome. Oh my God, he is fine.
I actually have books all
He
over
opened up doors. He pulls out chairs. He puts on coats. He tells me I'm beautiful. I mean, he calls me queen. It's just like, wow.
Okay, I really need to see her. Like, are we being, this is not fair that we only get to hear her and we don't get to see her.
Oh my God. It's like next week, I promise I'm gonna have my note. It's just like the last minute thing for right now, but I am so excited. But my son is so bitter because I left his daddy. And so he's mad at the world. He's the victim right now. He's playing the blame game and he hates me. He tells me this.
Listen, Alicia, he loves you. He just had you all to himself his whole life. He never dreamt, because when you left his dad, you were single for many years.
Yes, 10 years.
I know all this.
Exactly.
10 years you were single. He didn't, excuse me, I'm never eating dinner before my call ever again, because I think I have burped on you guys about 30 times through this call. So dinner will come after. Alicia, he was so used to having you all to himself for 10 years.
Yes.
And now he's like, what? You're in love? That's what he's mad.
Yes.
He doesn't have his head around. So Alicia, let me ask you this. What would your mother energy do?
What will my mother energy do?
Yeah.
Step back, sit down, and get her some popcorn and watch the show unfold.
I think that's what your woman energy would do.
Oh yeah, that's what my woman energy would do.
Mother energy would do this. I can't see you anymore, love of my life. Beautiful,
yes.
dark, and handsome.
Yes.
Man.
What would my daughter? What would my
daughter
mother
energy would be
do?
like? This is what daughter energy would do. Daughter energy would be like, I'm so mad at my son. He's just such a bad son. I'm not going to speak to him, Brad. He's a Brad. I'm not going to speak to him anymore. I have raised him. That's it. I'm furious with him for being furious with me.
Right.
Another energy would be like, oh, honey, please don't be mad at me. Okay, I won't see him anymore.
Yes, yes, yes. But I didn't respond like that to him.
Okay,
I did
so
not because.
What is your woman energy going to do?
My woman's energy is just going to sit back and just let him make his choices and be whatever choices that he makes, whether they're good or bad, whether I agree with them or not. That's
but Alicia,
his life.
He makes great choices. He just needs to hear you say, son, I love you. There's nothing you can do that will make me stop loving you.
Right, I told him that.
Here's our boundary setting. When you hate me for being a woman and letting myself finally fall in love, I feel, what do you feel? What's your woman energy feel? Not your wounded daughter energy, not your martyr mother energy, but what does your woman energy feel right now about how that makes you feel that your son doesn't want you to be in love?
Disappointed.
It makes me
selfish.
Feel disappointed. It makes me feel sad.
Mm-hmm.
When you yell at me and scream at me and tell me that you hate me,
yes,
I feel so sad. You're my son and I love you.
Yep.
And I have, how old is he?
29.
I spent 29 years putting you first.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll always be my son and no one will ever come ahead of you. But I have an opportunity to love again.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to do this for me.
Right.
Would you be willing? So what do you have to want him to be willing to do? So when I feel, would you be willing to meet him or get to know him? Would you be willing to just try to be a part of my new world?
Right. That
And
sounds
if
really
not,
good.
I really hope that we'll still see each other,
Mm-hmm.
just the two of us. Because
I'll hold the space for him pretty much. I'm not angry about how he feels. I am angry about how he feels,
you're
but at
allowed
the
to
same
be angry,
time,
but you're the
I
mom.
can't change it.
You're the mom.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And the mom is going to teach the son how to be a man.
Yes.
You are going to teach him how to be a man right now. And you're going to say, I raised you to be such a gentleman. I raised you to be a loving, respectful, wise man. And I'm going to hold space and trust and believe and have faith that we're going to find our way through this.
Yes. That's good, because I'm trying not to react and just respond to
because
this whole situation.
Daughter energy would get really angry and be like, how dare you be mad at me? I'll be even more mad at you for being mad at me.
Right.
You don't want to be like that. And you don't even want to think of him as a brat. You just want to, you might think of him as a brat. That's okay. But you don't say it.
Mm-hmm.
And just in your own brain, you say, he's not doing well right now.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And I have to continue to honor myself no matter what, but I can communicate in a way that is empowered and loving and kind.
Right.
But you're going to set a boundary. When you yell at me because I've fallen in love, I feel so sad and hurt and disappointed. Would you be willing to give me a chance, give him a chance, give this a chance?
Mm-hmm.
Well, if not, I hope that you will still spend time with me alone. I would hate to lose you just because I've fallen in love. And one day when you fall in love, my son, I will love your wife and I will respect your relationship with her. Like I hope that you would respect my relationship.
Right.
That's woman energy.
Mm-hmm.
And every one of us always have that choice. And in fact, one of the easiest ways to do it is to say to yourself, each one of you, and when you're in a situation, what would my daughter energy do? I can always ask myself, what would my daughter energy do? Well, she wouldn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
What would my mother energy? She'd do it happily. What would my woman energy do? She would do what's right for her, but never you have to realize you being a woman and showing your son that you're a woman is good for him.
Mm-hmm.
That's good for him. He needs to know you're still a woman. You're not just his mother, you're a woman. And every one of us, we have to remember, our mothers are women, not just mothers. Your mother, every one of us, your mother, every one of you, your mother was a little girl once that had dreams and needs and wants, and maybe she didn't get it right. She didn't, half of us, she didn't get it right.
Mm-hmm.
And now we have the opportunity to create an environment for ourselves so that we can blossom. And Alicia, that's what you've done. You've created an environment for yourself to blossom. And so stay in that space for your son's sake. Stay in that space. All righty?
Yes, thank you.
All right.
It's a happy space.
Happy space. Of course
Happy
it is.
space.
You're in love. You're in love. Don't rain on my parade, son. Don't you be raining on my parade. All right, Alicia, next time you're going to figure out how to get your voice and your face to shine at the same time. But thank you so much for raising your hand tonight.
Yes, thank you.
All right, ladies. So we only have about 6 minutes left. It's not a lot of time to do a really proper meditation, but why don't we at least for the next 6 minutes, take a few moments to get grounded? Because that is the first step. The first step of stepping into your woman energy literally starts with your feet. I know everybody does that. Oh, okay, I've got to relax my shoulders. You know, we're always trying to relax our shoulders. Why don't we start with our feet? Why don't we start with our root chakra? For those of you that have never heard of a chakra, don't worry about it. It's just an energy field. Eastern philosophy says we have 7 different energy fields in our bodies that are connected to different aspects of our life. But let's just think, if your body is a conduit of consciousness, a conduit of source energy, a conduit of God, whatever word you choose, a conduit of energy, then imagine you going out on a cold winter's morning and the battery in your car is dead. You can't just plug in the red. Oh, I'm gonna get my energy high up here in my head, my shoulders. I'm gonna reach out there. You have to plug both in. So we have to get connected to this Mother Earth that's underneath us. Mother Earth. It's a powerful ball of energy underneath you. Imagine there's this ball, this huge planet that just floats in the sky and you're standing on it. I don't care if you're in an apartment building right now. That energy under your feet is so powerful. This week, I have ladies that are in my MMG course. I have a mastermind group. I do it once a year with a small group of women. And I said, do you know, I go out every morning and stand barefoot in the snow just for a minute or two, just to stand barefoot, just spread my toes as wide as they will spread. I don't have my golf ball with me right now, but get yourself a golf ball. And when you're sitting, watching TV, or if you work at a desk, put the golf ball under your feet in your office and just roll it all around your foot. Roll both your feet. So even right now, I want you to spread your toes as wide as you can. If you have shoes on, hopefully at some point, even tonight when you get in, spread your toes as wide as you can. Great. We're gonna sit. If you're sitting in a chair, I want you to sit tall. You're gonna get used to me and my craziness, but you're gonna take your butt and pull it out of the way. Pull it out of the way. If you got a big butt, pull it out of the way. And your thighs, you want to pull on each side. That actually gets the bones in your body in alignment. Your calf, not that it matters to be so, but if you really want to get it into alignment, your calf, you can reach down on the inside of your calf and sort of pull the inside of your calf in and the outside of your thigh and plop your foot down. Inside of your calf, outside of your thigh, plop your foot down. And then sit tall, let your knees touch. And your heels wide, like almost like a triangle. So your toes touch, your heels go out. You'll feel your hips almost go into a triangle. Your knees touch, your hips wide. Great. And then we're just going to imagine we have a little string attached to the top of your head, just elongating your vertebrae, sitting tall. And another thing that we want to practice is not like a gymnast where you're opening up really wide. I want you to take a deep breath in from your feet. Imagine you're breathing all the way up your feet and you're breathing the energy up into your hips, into your bottom, right into your perineum, all the way up into this sacred space in the core of your body. And as you exhale, just blow the air back down your hips, down your legs, down your knees, all the way out into the ground. And again, a deep breath, and we're just going to breathe all the way up your toes, your feet. Imagine you're breathing mother energy, this powerful force. Eastern philosophy calls that Shakti, this great goddess of creation. So we have Father Sky, Father Heaven, Mother Earth, and we need both. So again, we are going to exhale down our legs, all the way down. And imagine that as you're exhaling, you're just blowing away what you don't need to hold on to any longer. And you know, the earth has this incredible way of composting shit into flowers. So you're gonna breathe the energy of the earth up into your legs, all the way up into your hips, pull it up into your body, almost like a Kegel. In yoga, we call it Mula Bandha. So you pull the energy up like a Kegel, and then collapse your ribs down and lock that energy in. And exhale all the way down. And as you exhale down out of your feet, imagine that you have roots long and deep like a mighty oak tree. You are stronger than you know. You have ancestral roots. You have women who have walked this earth before you, who are looking down on you right now and are cheering for you. You are the last in the line. And these women are cheering for you. So breathe the energy back up your legs, in through your perineum, Mula Bandha, Kegel, up like an elevator, and then lock down, Ujjiyana Bandha. And just keep your breathing steady. Find a nice comfortable breath. And if you feel you want to let that energy rise up into your chest with each breath, filling your belly and your chest up like a big balloon, but you're always exhaling back down through your hips, down your legs, dropping down into the floor, long roots, securing you strong like a mighty oak tree. You're not a little flower that can be plucked out of the earth just like that. You are a mighty oak tree. You are stronger than you know. One more time, big breath all the way up, breathing it all the way up into your chest. And this time I want you to travel over to your heart just for a couple more minutes tonight. Travel over to your heart. I know we haven't done a lot of breathing or grounding, but let's try just to open your heart up tonight before we say goodbye. Ask your heart, how open is it? How open is your heart when you go over to talk to it? Is your heart closed off like it's behind a big wooden cabinet? Or is your heart open and vulnerable and just wildly beating with joy and passion? And no matter what it is, ask your heart, can I open up tonight, even if it's only for the next 5 minutes, to let yourself just feel what it feels like, to feel so safe in your own body. And if you need to find the key that's going to unlock your heart because it's locked up, I want you to reach metaphorically into your pocket, find the key, and open up the padlock, and open up the doors. Maybe even take that big cabinet off your heart and put it on the table beside you. And just let your heart breathe. Safe, open, loving, trusting who you really are without the clay, without the protection, just you. Your beautiful, loving, joyous heart. And if it feels really hard to open your heart up, you've been hurt. I understand. Maybe your heart's been closed down for business. Maybe it's been broken. No matter what it is, let your heart know that you're here to heal it, because a heart doesn't just heal on its own. You have to do the work. Let your heart know that you're here for the next 12 weeks with a sisterhood of women to support you, and nourish you, love you, respect you, and to help remind you of who you really are. And breathing deeply into that energy. Imagine your heart has a little faucet, like a tap. You're just going to turn the faucet on your heart and see if you can let a little holy water start to drip. See if you can turn the faucet, and if you can actually let some of that beautiful holy water just begin to just pour out of your heart and wash around your chest. Let that holy water just wash all the way around your back. Let it come up over your neck and shoulders, rinsing away stress, rinsing away tension. It's like a beautiful fountain of holy water beginning to fill into your body all the way up to the top of your head, gently caressing down over your eyes and your cheeks and your mouth. Let your jaw relax. Let that holy water just wash all the way down through your body, down your legs, out into the ground. Remind yourself of how much you love you, of how beautiful you are. Tell yourself, I love you. Use your name. I love you. Say it to yourself, I love you. I love you, I love you. Gently bringing your awareness back to the room. We don't have a lot of time tonight. Let's just take our hands, wrap them around your body. Don't you deserve a big hug? Tell yourself how much you love you. And as you're hugging yourself, I hope this doesn't sound crazy, but just imagine I'm hugging you too. I am giving you such a big hug because if you were here right now, I'd be hugging you and going, I love you, and you don't even know me yet. But I love you. Love is a great thing. Ladies, thank you so much for spending this first class with me. Some of you are a little tired. I can see some of you yawning. Some of you, it's late at night over in the UK. Some of you are on the West Coast, so you're just getting your evening started. Let's have a great week. Join the message forum if you haven't yet. Grab a copy of the book if you haven't yet. Take the quiz on Oprah.com if you haven't yet. Can you imagine? Oh, I see some of you with your books. Yay! All right, ladies, we'll be back next Wednesday. If you want to come on a little early, feel free to come on and chat together amongst yourselves. I'll throw the music on at the top of the hour and we'll be good to go. We're going to finish off tonight with Oh My Sister. You don't have to stay, but if you want to, this song is by Natalie Hughes, one of my best friends since grade 6. Oh My Sister, it is time. Stand up. Good night, everyone. Oh my sister, it is time. Stand up. Oh my sister, it is time. I love you too. Stand up. We are beauty. We are grace. We are gentle. We are strength. We are grounded. We are free. We are fearless. We are loved. Oh my sister, it is time. Stand up. Oh my sister, it is time. Stand up. We are wounded. We are bliss. We are boundless. We are strength. We are open. We are trust. We are wisdom. We are love. You ready? Oh my sister, it is time. Stand up. Woo! Oh my sister, it is time. Stand up. Woo! Oh my sister, it is time. Yeah, sing it. Stand up. Oh my sister, it is time. Stand up. One more time.